You know those days when you wake up already tired, and before you've even made it to lunch, you've snapped at three people and eaten a granola bar the size of your head? You tell yourself you just need more willpower or caffeine. But here's the secret: the way you feel might be responding to the food you ate. And today, we're going to talk about how what you eat affects how you feel emotionally, mentally, and physically, and how you can flip that switch. Healthy isn't just what you do, it's who you become. I'm Dr. Vickie, and this is Healthy Looks Great on You, a lifestyle medicine podcast to help you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your well-being. Life tested, doctor approved. Today, we're going to learn how to eat like you want to feel. And this is not about calories or carbs. It's about your energy, your mood, and your confidence. Learn to choose food that helps you feel the way you want to feel every single day. Calm, clear, and confident. Have you ever had a salad that just made you feel like a saint? Until about 3 p.m. when you're raiding the vending machine like a raccoon in a dumpster. Yeah, me too. And this isn't about guilt. It's about discovering the food feeling connection and using that to motivate you next time. This is a superpower. This Halloween, we did not have a single trick-or-treater. Now, to be fair, we went to dinner during doorbell prime time, so maybe we just missed the little princesses and cowboys. And that left a monstrous bowl of Milky Way, Reese's Cups, Twix, M&Ms, and Almond Joy. Oh my. Now look, I've broken my sugar addiction. Well, mostly. But I got up the next morning and I ate a nutritious breakfast and a plant-based win for lunch. Although my fridge and pantry were getting a little low, and to be truthful, I did not eat enough fiber-filled wonders to really feel full. And remember, I have an appetite that's bigger than the Milky Way. But it wasn't the Milky Way that called my name. It was the Almond Joy, which is weird because caramel is my favorite treat. So I would have bet that the little bars of Twix or Snickers would have spoken loudest. But nope, it was the coconut almond chocolate that got my attention. Not once, but twice. Within an hour, brain fog rolled in like a tidal wave. And when I say brain fog, I mean I felt spacey, I couldn't concentrate, nor did I want to. Motivation was right out the window. I felt sleepy, drained, and physically fatigued, with a little burning thirst in the back of my throat. Then I wanted to eat everything in sight, and that's how it started. What in the world was happening? Let's go to mini medical school and find out. When we eat sugar, it travels quickly from the stomach to the bloodstream, and the blood sugar levels spike. That releases insulin from the pancreas, which moves the sugar out of your bloodstream into the cells in the liver, muscles, fat, and so on, effectively pulling that sugar out of the bloodstream, which lowers blood sugar levels. Unless, of course, you're diabetic and your pancreas doesn't make insulin like it's supposed to, or your cells are resistant to what your pancreas makes. But for those who aren't diabetic, a spike in blood sugar is kind of like climbing up on an unsteady ladder. The higher up you go, the harder it is to fall. The rapid drop in blood sugar can make you feel yuck. And yes, that is a medical term, and in this case, completely yuck. But insulin isn't the only goblin in this brain fog mystery. You see, when your blood sugar crashes, that stresses your body. And when we're stressed, our body releases the stress hormone, good old cortisol. And its job is to mobilize sugar back out of the liver. Back and forth we go, and it isn't good for us. And it doesn't make us feel good either. Cortisol spikes can trigger irritability. You know, like when that 19-year-old trick-or-treater shows up at your door and demands a second helping, and you just give them the look. On top of insulin and cortisol, dopamine gets into the action too. Sugar and chocolate give you a hit, and that triggers cravings when it starts to wear off. Plus fatigue. It's a recipe for feeling terrible, and it feels like you bought an all-day pass to ride the blood sugar roller coaster. You're not crazy, and it's not just stress. When your blood sugar spikes and crashes, your brain literally goes into survival mode, and you feel irritable and anxious and tired, all while craving another pick-me-up. I know that junk food isn't good food and it isn't good fuel. It's just foolishness. But what I forget is how bad it makes me feel. Now, if you can eat a donut or a cinnamon roll and it doesn't affect you, then I would challenge you to try to eliminate it from your diet for a couple of weeks and compare how you feel when you eat sugar to how you feel when you don't. Maybe make November no sugar the rest of the month. But I suspect that most people living on the standard American diet of ultra-processed foods don't even begin to realize the impact it has on your mood, energy, and mental clarity. And because this bus drives itself, you'll instinctively reach for another Coke, another protein bar that's packed with sugar, or whatever you can get your hands on. The sugar monster is hard to tame. But listen, it is not a lack of willpower. It's biochemistry. Here's what's happening inside. Your gut makes about 90% of serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone. And if you feed your gut junk, it can't make the serotonin you need. Processed foods, low-fiber foods, and sugar crashes all cause inflammation in the gut, which sends direct signals to your brain. And that's why you can't think clearly or stay calm. It's not just your personality. It's your physiology. And here's the deal. If we can just mentally connect the food we eat with the way we feel, it can motivate us to avoid the sticky mess that it creates. I mean, I have zero desire for an Almond Joy or a Zero Bar because that feeling is fresh on my mind. I'll probably slip up again, but for as long as I can, I want to hang on to that unpleasant memory because I know it wasn't worth it. Can you start eating in a way that matches how you want to feel? Calm, focused, energized, clear-headed, and productive? That version of you doesn't count carbs. That person focuses on how amazing they feel when they eat a balanced, healthy meal. As you shift your identity from eating on the go and letting a candy bar irresistibly call your name, you'll find that you can connect food with feelings, and you can leverage that to help you improve your health and sense of well-being. So if you're tempted to splurge at 2 o'clock this afternoon, think about how you want to feel at 3. Bloated or blah, foggy or fabulous. That is a mindset worth consuming. Food is feedback, not failure. Start with one simple shift. And I suggest adding fiber-rich carbs to your breakfast, like oats with berries, whole grain toast, or a smoothie. Would you like to peek into my blender? I start with unsweetened soy milk, whole grain oats, a handful of nuts, a handful of spinach, and then I head to the freezer for a half of a frozen banana. Then, depending on what sounds good, I add frozen pineapple, mango, or cherries for sweetness. And if I use cherries, I toss in a little cocoa. To up the protein game, I add frozen edamame or frozen green peas. They're really good, and you don't need a protein powder. Just put the frozen plants right in your smoothie. And unless you're eating an entirely plant-based diet, you probably get enough protein anyway. Sometimes I use frozen strawberries and add almond extract, or skip all the fruit except the banana and add cocoa, vanilla, cinnamon, and just a little bit of salt. But what I want you to do is try experimenting on your own. Once you've started your day by eating a fiber-packed breakfast, track how you feel. I think making the connection between food and feeling is the biggest motivator for success. When you eat to feel good, you start creating that version of yourself every day, one forkful at a time. Focus on feelings as your feedback loop. If you're ready to eat with more joy and less guesswork, then grab my free pantry guide, Quick Meals, Not Quick Fixes. It's the first step to becoming energized, confident, the way you were meant to be. Just go to my website, healthylooksgreatonyou.com, and download that free pantry guide. Imagine waking up without the fog, powering through your day without the crashes, and actually feeling peaceful. When your plate is colorful and plant-powered, your gut will send your brain a thank you note. You'll feel more stable, more focused, and happy. And suddenly that 3 p.m. meltdown just doesn't happen anymore. And if you're really struggling with healthy habits, check out my 7-day kickstart to healthy habits. It's also on my website, healthylooksgreatonyou.com. Because when you feel good on the inside, it always shows on the outside. And healthy feels great, and healthy looks great on you.
The information contained in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not considered to be a substitute for medical advice. You should continue to follow up with your physician or healthcare provider and take medication as prescribed. Though the information in this podcast is evidence-based, new research may develop and recommendations may change.